co-working spaces are becoming the new normal in India and are rapidly expanding. Let's get to know more about the person who gave this new definition to this dynamic in Gujarat and spreading its roots to other states. Hello, this is Ishani Rawal. Welcome to Powerful Pursuits with Egniol. Today, here with us, we have Yasha, the founder of The Address. Hi Yash, how are you doing?
Nice to see you. Thank you very much for having me here.
It is great pleasure to have you here with us. So, we would like to know who is Yasha and what was the idea behind The Address?
Well, Yasha is a fun, happy-go-lucky person who doesn't think too much, but is an extreme workaholic at times and has very clear thoughts about what he wants in life. Someone who is very opinionated, someone who has very strong principles as far as work is concerned, but at the same time, someone who is very relaxed in his personal life, someone who just takes it easy, and someone who loves doing things as they come. So what was the second question?
And we wanted to know what was the idea behind creating The Address?
The idea behind creating The Address was that I wanted to give to this city something which people look forward to. I have realized over a span of the last 6 years while working so much that we usually spend equal amount of time at the office as much as we spend at our homes. And when we do that, we want to have that kind of flexibility as well as the kind of comfort that we have at our homes to be at our office. Of course, we're somebody entirely different at homes, and at our offices, we're very professional. We follow a certain mental stigma that it comes down to, right? I kind of wanted to change that. I wanted to make sure that people don't have just a single place where they work out of, or they do not have just their own company people who they have to mingle with, or they do not have to eat the same food which college students or school students eat at their school messes every single day. And they do not have to just be in a certain way and function like robots. They can be whoever they want to at work. They can just work in whatever way they want to. They can enjoy their work life, and more so they can enjoy being where they are during the span of 9 to 12 hours that they're supposed to be over here. And this is what kind of led to the idea of The Address. And one of the major reasons why we call it The Address is because we want it to be the address for everyone to be proud of, to have
that is
a good
what
time.
My next question was.
There you go.
Why the name, The Address? And why this particular location that you started with?
Alright, so the concept behind the name was that I wanted to make sure that this is an address for each and every person's need and requirement. We are actually not just a co-working space or a managed office space. We're much more than that. We like to cater to a person's each and every need. And when I say a person, I do not mean a particular company or a particular client, but I mean the person who's based with us or who's based out of the address, right? We want to make sure that whatever their requirement is fulfilled, from their personal need to their personal want, their business need to their business want. We like to believe that we want to take care of everything, and somewhat we're there. And the other aspect, we're still learning and getting there.
Okay, and why this location? Like, why the West Gate at Sarkesh Gandhinagar Highway? Why this particular location?
So a couple of reasons behind that. Number one, I wanted to start this from Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad being a tier 2 city and having quite a lot of service sector was a major boost and a major positive that was there. At the same time, SG Highway is now the new commercial hub for a lot of people. At the same time, this is also Ahmedabad's tallest tower, and to have a top floor with incredible
such amazing views.
kinds of helps in creating an impact. At the same time, again, it goes back to the name. You want to have your business card. When you give your business card to someone, you want it to have that prestigious address, that prestigious place where people say, "Wow, you're based out of here," and that's a great thing to have. So we wanted to have that, and that is one of the reasons why we named it The Address, as well as we started with this particular
Great.
person.
So we know The Address has become a renowned brand. Okay, so What was
believe
it
so.
before? Like when you started it, what
Mhm.
was it before and what is it like now?
So I mean, of course, when you start, right, there's first of all acceptance, which kind of comes in from people. While I was starting up, it was a little difficult for the first 3 to 6 months to kind of explain the concept to people,
Correct.
as well as let them know about who we are, what do we do, and what is all of it that people get from this. Once people started slowly realizing and understanding, as well as they quickly started to adapt about how they can actually make their offices or what kind of privacy is there in their offices. It played a significant role in changing people's mindset. And then I do believe still that there are multiple modes of social media, there are multiple modes of advertising in today's world, but still word of mouth is the best mode of advertising one can have.
So
One
that
which
you think that could be included in the business strategy
I mean
for these years?
I think the best business strategy is to perform. If you're performing well and
Correct.
if you're giving back to the people upon, I mean, as per their expectations or more, that's a business strategy in itself. People will come back to you and people will recommend you to somebody else rather than you having to spend X amount of revenue or X percentage of your revenue in trying to gain another client.
Correct.
And that's what our strategy has been. That more than focusing on who is outside, focus more on the people who are with us so that they're not unhappy, right? Of course, it's extremely difficult to please 12,000, 10 to 12,000 people a day that we have today. There are issues and there are smaller hiccups that we face now and then. But the way that you take care of your client and the way that you service them is it kind of reciprocates in getting new business as well as in the relationship that you have with your current clients.
So the address has also went through the trial and error phase as well.
Absolutely, we did have the first mover advantage down in the city, and that was an absolute trial and error. A lot of, I mean, it's actually a pride when I talk to a lot of competitors, right, and they say that one of the major reasons why we opened up a co-working center is because we saw a place like the address. It kind of makes me very happy, and it kind of
So there is no actual rivalry there. It's like a healthy competition because
There's
they would be
always
learning
healthy.
from you as
there's
well,
always
right?
healthy competition, right? And there's no business which does not have a competition. Because competition exists is one of the major reasons why we thrive. There should
Why it grows.
Correct. People should have something to compare it to so that they actually realize our value. Correct. And that's what I strongly believe in is that if there is competition enough, people will really understand about what you give and who you are.
Absolutely.
So that's always going to be there.
So when you started the address, how many of you were there? What number of employees were there? And now where has it reached?
So when I started with the address, we were a team of almost 3 to 4 people, and currently, directly or indirectly, we employ more than 700 people a day.
Wow.
This includes, of course, the third-party vendors that we have on anything and everything.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a pride that we do employ more than 700 people a day. More so, I mean, there's great numbers that we talk about, but something I really want to signify is about the value add which we get in, right?
Right.
We are completely friendly with anyone and everyone who is working with us, right? We do not believe that this world belongs to only the men or the women, but the specially able or anyone and everyone who's there. We do believe that we give a platform to everyone to express themselves and to kind of lay a foundation for their success. At the same time, my job is genuinely to create leaders in whatever way I can, to see where a person who started their career with the address or is now a
Right.
part of the address can go from here. Right? And that is something which plays a very significant role to me.
Absolutely. So you would have something, for example, there are team managers and business owners wherein they come in the morning, they have this brief meeting. Usually it's bad. Usually it turns out to be a bad one, but different mood swings. So how is it with you when you come to the office? How is your typical day? What do you do?
My typical day is focused on actually listening to everyone and knowing what is going on in the organization. At the same time, taking necessary decisions and steps in figuring out where do we want to go about it. correct?
Okay.
The average median age that I have over here in terms of employment should be around 27 years old. So when I look at it, I have a lot of people who've just started up and are 3 to 4 years into their business journey. So the fresher thoughts that they get in is actually something fantastic. I'm 26 years old myself, but I do believe that at some point of time, a founder's role is very limited and he becomes a bottleneck for an organization. I do believe that now I'm a bottleneck for this organization because there are people who think more clear than I do.
But
and
that
who
is
have-
what you believe, not the people you work with, right?
I think that's for them to answer. But I do believe that the fresher school of thoughts that I see day in and day out, not just in terms of marketing or events, but in terms of sales, in terms of actual business, in terms of so many things that are there. It kind of amuses me and it kind of makes me happy that over the span of the last 4 years, we've been able to reach a stage where even without my ideology or even without my thought processes, the organization is able to function in a way where people are doing the thought process and not just that, right? The client suggests a lot of things to
course.
us for the betterment of us, and that's where the success lies.
Okay, so now this market, the co-working spaces market, has become huge, and the address, I mean, how is it still coping up? Because there are n number of competitors now, but then there's always the address of the top. So how do you manage? Like, how did you manage to keep the address always on the top?
So I mean, very honestly, I was very focused on what I wanted to do. I am not focused on how much is the competitor expanding. I am focused on how much I am expanding. And when I look at in hindsight, when I look at actually how much have they grown versus how much I have grown, I'm very happy with how much I've grown. Again, as it goes, right, competitors are always going to be a part of the game. When I started back in 2018, I had almost 60% of market share. Correct, that went down to 30 at a time, and today I'm back with 50% of market share again in Gujarat at least. If I were to look at Pan India, we would have almost 3% market share, which is a good number to have, looking at how big India is and how big is this entire sector, right? Now, when we have a state's 50% market share, you basically have reached a peak. And now, when you reached a peak, the only thing that can happen, you can go downstairs. So my goal is to actually maintain the peak and not go down for this particular state. At the same time, we've just launched in Madhya Pradesh as well as Maharashtra. So now let's see. In the coming 6 months, we'll be able to see.
So you just opened, or they are like you have already started?
Yes,
the operations and everything.
Yes, my operations are live in Indore.
Okay, so setting up it in Ahmedabad and setting up it in Indore.
Correct.
What are the major differences that you found with the clients you would be getting or anything?
I mean, it's a whole different culture altogether that not just two cities but two entire different states bring in, right?
Exactly.
There are different work ethics, there are different work norms, there are different kind of people who actually come to the center. There are different kind of expectations. Different mindsets, absolutely. And, catering to that is something which is very important. And I think we've been very successful in catering to that. So there's that. I'm not going to give the secret ingredient out because in case any competitor is watching this, might as well.
You have become an idol. Yes, as a young entrepreneur for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, according to you, are the qualities one entrepreneur should have?
I would not ask anybody to look at me as an idol, first of all, because number one, I'm not perfect in any way, right? I do believe yes, I work well, but when we talk about younger people, right? Everybody kind of wants to be financially independent. Everybody wants to be successful, and everybody kind of expects to do well from the very beginning. Yes, I kind of had that, and I did not face many failures as much as the successes that I saw. But that's not always true for all things. Today, I mean, other people as well as social media has made us believe that life is all good, and your friends are reposting your stories to let other people know about the good work that you're doing. But honestly, I didn't have any of that. The most important thing that I believe is that are you really putting in that effort to make sure that you are proud of what you're doing and you're getting a good sleep at night? Because I'm not running a business to show my friends what I'm doing. I'm running a business to kind of prove it to myself and to prove a mettle in this, first of all, pan India, and then and then at a later stage somewhere else, that this is who I am, this is what my brand stands for, and this is what I really want to achieve. Correct. So as an idol, I mean, my only giveaway is that don't focus on people or don't focus on things that are absolutely irrelevant to business. Focus on the business to kind of get from a point A to wherever you want to go. And that's the most important thing ever, right? Don't focus on fame, or don't focus on making money, or don't focus on being financially independent, but focus on how are you really creating that right business, or focus on how that business is giving back to the society in terms of a lot of things, right?
Services and products as well.
Absolutely. Right? And by giving back, I do not mean like a just giving back to the poor, or just giving back to the society. Just giving back in a way where how are you making sure that this is solving a problem.
So my next question is, setting up a startup takes a lot of efforts and compromises in personal life.
Correct.
How was it for you? How did you manage, if there were any compromises or sacrifices that you had to make?
Well, I sleep for 4 hours a day. That's the biggest compromise I've made, because I used to sleep for 12 hours a day.
But that is your choice again.
Correct. Right? But I mean, again, sometimes when you want to get something right, you will have to make these choices, and these choices will always look like a compromise to you, because at one stage you've forgotten what you were versus.
But now, do you think it was worth sacrificing certain things?
It's always worth sacrificing a certain thing. See, I'm 26 years old today. I do not have a lot of friends my age. I hang out with a lot of people who are a little older than I am, and that's something I chose for myself. Do I regret going to parties on a Friday or a Saturday night? I obviously do. Yes, I do. I wish that I could do that, but when I look back and when I see the bandwidth that I have, and I realize that is this that important to me in my life, I decide no, this is not, and I am very happy with what I am today. And that contention is extremely beautiful if you have that in as a part of your mindset. Yes, nobody wants to kind of miss out on all things in life, but then it also becomes extremely important to realize what you really want at a later stage.
But then the results and the outcome is going to be the best.
Absolutely.
Right?
See, again, it's
going to be very fruitful.
I do not work for the result or the outcome. I try to get to that particular stage about what I want. Result and outcome, more often than not, is not in my favor, and there is not much I can do about it. But I know for a fact that I have given it all, and that's something which kind of makes me happy. And I mean, again, right? There are always two ways to look at it: one from the client side, or one from the other person's side, and one from your side. From my side, I will never be at 100%. But if at all the other person is overjoyed, if you're exceeding their expectations, then that's what you've lived for, and that's what you've started this for.
Okay, so the last question for this segment would be: you have already expanded to various different cities, right? Other than that, what are your future plans? Where do you want to take the address?
Future plans are again to expand, right? But now my goal is that I do not just want to be a co-working or a managed office space player. We want to introduce different kind of models for people, right? Something like a co-living, something like there's quite a lot that we have in pipeline, which I'm not.
We're looking forward to that again.
So because we see that today forward and backward integrations are at the helm of everything, right? Today people appreciate a dress for the interiors that it has, or and now we want to provide that for people in multiple aspects. So that's what we look forward to. We have quite a lot of new things which are brewing and which are going to be rolled out soon. So we look forward to that.
Great. So that would be end of this segment. So now we will be moving forward to a fun rapid fire questions
I'm
round.
not good at this.
Well, you gave such amazing answers. So,
Alright.
okay. The first question: what was your first job?
My first job.
Yeah.
My first job was in Singapore as a financial writer for a company.
Great. Your favorite business-oriented movie?
Business favorite. Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay. The last 3 conversations that you had on your WhatsApp with?
My fiance. Vipulbai and another business conversation.
Where was your last vacation to?
My last vacation was I've traveled a lot. Was Calcutta.
I know that is why you chose this question.
Calcutta.
Okay. Your favorite subject in school?
Maths.
Really? If you had to change your first name, what could it be?
I would not change it.
You don't want to? Name a 4-letter word that starts with the letter B.
B. Ball.
Describe your style in one word.
Minimalistic.
Okay.
Simple.
Okay. What could be a good spy code name for you?
Spy code name for me. Thunder.
Okay. What is your lazy go-to dinner?
Pizza.
If you were to write a book, what would it be about?
My life.
What was your last Google search?
I'll have to check.
What is the first thing you notice in a person?
Notice in a person. How they talk.
Okay. Which co-worker do you text the most?
Vipul, sir.
What's the best compliment you have ever got?
Westcom. There's plenty.
You just got one recently from me.
What? Which one?
The Idol.
The Idol. That's a compliment. Alright.
Was it? Or
I
was
mean,
it not?
I thought that was more of a
Okay.
sting. But yeah, there you go. The last one.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you in keeping secrets?
11.
Really?
11.
Great. Okay. So that was the end of the rapid
Alright,
fire.
there
You
you
did amazing. It was great having you on Powerful Pursuits with us. Thank you, Yash, for your time.
Pleasure was all mine. Thank you for having me, and I hope you guys liked the address.
Absolutely, we loved it. Thank you. So this was the first episode of Powerful Pursuits, and we will get back to you with amazing, powerful stories. Stay tuned. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also hit the bell icon to never miss an update.